"You don't own this lake." That's what the HOA president screamed at me the morning I moved in. 5 acres of waterfront property, private, deeded, and completely outside HOA boundaries. Yet here she was claiming authority like a general barking orders. Her name was Marlene Kinsley. Blazer in the heat, portfolio in hand, the kind of woman who treated every conversation like a board meeting. I tried to be polite, showing her the deed, the survey lines, everything. But the way her eyes hardened told me facts didn't matter, control did. By sunset, I'd already called my lawyer and installed covert cameras. Something told me this battle wasn't over. And I was right. This wasn't a neighborhood. It was a war zone dressed up as a lakeside community. The first week felt peaceful. Pine trees swayed, lake water shimmered, and silence hung heavy. After 15 years in naval intelligence, I'd come here for peace, to fish, to rebuild my cabin, to live quietly. But quiet never lasts long when people crave control. On Wednesday, a plain white envelope showed up in my mailbox, Pinewood Hollow HOA official notice. Inside, a violation notice. Section 7.3, unauthorized construction adjacent to community resources, $500 fine, plus $100 per day. I frowned. Section 7.3 didn't exist. I checked every page of the HOA covenant. It ended at 7.2. She made it up. I called my attorney. He confirmed it. Forged, invalid harassment. That's when my training kicked in. Document everything. Timestamp everything. Prepare for escalation. Because when people like Marlene lose control, they don't stop, they double down. And I wasn't about to bow to a paper tyrant. Thursday morning, I drove to the HOA office, a shabby little suite between a dry cleaner and a tax service. The receptionist looked tired, like she'd seen too many of Marlene's games. I handed her the notice. Section 7.3? I asked. Her brows knit together. She typed, scrolled, frowned. "There is no Section 7.3, she said quietly. Her voice carried weight, the kind of weary tone that said, "You're not the first." I nodded, thanked her, and walked out. Evidence secured. Witness acquired. Back home, 3 new notices were taped to my gate. Violation, improper vehicle storage. Violation, lawn below standards. Violation, unapproved modifications. Each fine more absurd than the last. I hadn't touched a thing, but the message was clear. Marlene was building a paper trail. To outsiders, I'd look like the problem neighbor. To her, it was psychological warfare. But to me, it was just another mission. By Friday night, my cameras were live, 12 discrete domes with night vision and cloud backup. Every path, every gate, every approach covered. I'd done surveillance work overseas, but this was different. This was my home. At 1:14 a.m., motion alert. The feed showed a figure near my mailbox, a flashlight beam flicking across the driveway. I zoomed in. Marlene. She was taping another notice to my fence. No car, no headlights, just her and that same cream blazer from days ago. She turned toward the camera once, almost like she knew it was there, and smiled. I saved the footage in 3 separate encrypted drives. The next morning, I printed still frames and hand-delivered them to my lawyer. He didn't even blink. "We'll file for a harassment injunction." I nodded, because if Marlene won a fight, I was done defending. I was going on offense. Saturday, I drove to the sheriff's office with every file, letters, forged documents, timestamps, and a video of Marlene trespassing. The deputy recognized her instantly. "Her again?" he sighed. "You're not the first complaint. She's been warned before." He copied my footage and said an investigator would follow up. That night, my cameras caught something new. 2 men, hooded, standing at my fence line, arguing quietly. They left within minutes, but not before one of them slipped an envelope under my gate. Inside, a handwritten note. "Back off or it won't just be fines." No signature, no fingerprints. That's when I realized this wasn't about property lines anymore. This was personal. I'd humiliated her, and she wanted to reassert control the only way she knew, intimidation. But she forgot one thing. I've dealt with worse than HOA bullies, and I always finish what I start. 2 weeks later, the sheriff called. The attorney, Marlene had cited on every notice. Michael Richardson didn't exist. Never had. Forgery. Fraud. Misrepresentation. When they served the warrant, she was still wearing that same cream blazer. The cameras caught her final walk down my driveway, this time escorted by deputies. I stood on the porch, arms crossed, watching the car disappear beyond the pines. The lake was silent again. Still, mine. And for the first time since I'd moved in, the silence didn't feel like tension. It felt like peace. Justice isn't loud. Sometimes, it's just the sound of the wind across the water after the storm has passed. And Marlene Kinsley? She finally learned one thing the hard way. You don't mess with a man who's built his life on knowing every inch of his ground.